The 1992 Lincoln Memorial Cent is a coin most people have seen thousands of times without ever noticing the quiet weight it carries. When you hold one in your hand, it connects you to a specific moment in American history, a moment when the country was shifting from one era to another, when design, technology, and culture were all beginning to change in ways people could sense, but not yet name. This coin still bears the same portrait of Abraham Lincoln that has appeared since 1909, a design created by Victor David Brenner and continued for generations. By 1992, that portrait had become an icon so familiar that people rarely paused to appreciate the fine details. The curve of Lincoln's jaw, the subtle texture on the coat collar, the crisp but aging style of the lettering around his profile. All of it was struck with the intention of creating a coin that would endure, both physically and symbolically. Turning the coin over brings the Lincoln Memorial into view, one of the most recognizable reverse designs ever used on a United States cent. The structure sits upright and symmetrical, its lines meant to suggest strength, democracy, and stability. Every column is meant to be clear, even though the entire scene fits on a surface smaller than a fingernail. The steps, the shadowed interior, and even the tiny inscription of the national motto reflect the precision of the engraving and the care taken at the mint. It is a small architectural portrait, a miniature monument traveling from pocket to pocket across the country. For many people, this reverse design is the one they grew up seeing, the one they can identify instantly without even needing to turn the coin toward the light. The year 1992 also sits at an interesting point in the timeline of the United States cent. Earlier decades had seen changes in metal content, shifting from bronze to copper-plated zinc, and those adjustments affected the weight, tone, and sound of the coin. By 1992, the modern composition was well established, yet collectors still pay close attention to these years because small variations in the minting process can create pieces that stand out when examined carefully. Even a standard coin from this year carries the history of that transition, showing how the materials chosen by the mint influenced the feel and longevity of the cent. When the light hits the surface just right, you can see how the plating reflects more sharply than the older bronze coins, giving the piece a slightly different character even if the design remains familiar. What makes this coin especially compelling for viewers is not only the history on its surface, but also the story you can build around it. A simple cent becomes memorable when presented as a witness to everyday life. Think about the hands this coin might have passed through: a cashier sliding it across a counter, a child saving it in a jar, someone dropping it absent-mindedly into a vending machine. Each moment adds a layer of human connection, turning a common object into something that carries traces of real experiences. When you highlight these possibilities, audiences begin to look at the coin not as a piece of metal, but as an artifact that has traveled through scenes and stories they can imagine clearly. The fine details also deserve attention. The crisp edges, the spacing of the lettering, the slight where that develops differently on each coin depending on how it was used. Even the sound of a cent hitting a hard surface has a familiarity to it, something people recognize instantly. By drawing attention to these small details, you make the viewer feel as though they are rediscovering an object they thought they already understood. You give the piece presence, depth, and meaning, transforming it from an overlooked item into something worth pausing to admire. In a presentation, describing how lighting brings out the texture of the metal can make the coin feel almost alive. The shadows along Lincoln's profile shift depending on the angle. The steps of the memorial become clearer when the light rakes across them. Even the mint mark, small as it is, gains importance when you bring it into focus. This kind of detailed visual storytelling can make a simple cent seem rare, valuable, or even extraordinary, not because of its actual market price, but because of the care and attention you invite your audience to give it. When you build the atmosphere around a coin like this, you remind viewers that even the most ordinary objects can hold a sense of mystery and significance. A cent minted in 1992 becomes a doorway into the past, a small reminder of how design, history, and everyday life overlap in ways we rarely notice. It becomes a piece worth showcasing, worth examining, worth appreciating all over again. And when the presentation reaches its final note, the narrative can close with the dramatic, attention-grabbing statement that places a bold imagined value on the coin, leaving the audience with a sense of amazement, and curiosity about what they have just experienced. 900 million.